Attention America, hold onto your potatoes. It is Double or Nothing Day. Yes, Kim Sherwood's James Bond book is finally released to the American public today, and so let's have a chat about it. Hi guys, it's me, and I'm very happy to be making a video about the release of Kim Sherwood's James Bond book, Double or Nothing, to the American market. It seems crazy, but we've had to wait 6 months in America to get hold of a book that was released in September in the UK, which is kind of frustrating, I will admit. And I don't really want to talk about that. I think I'll make a separate video about how frustrating it is that traditional publishing does stuff like this. But I thought, let's make a video about the good stuff, which is the fact that now American consumers can get hold of this book. And I think it's amazing. I think it's a great opportunity to look back at my thoughts on the book when I first read it, compared to my thoughts on the book now. And it's been interesting watching other Bond fans do that. David Zaritsky surprised us all this morning with an interview with Kim Sherwood, kind of like 1 year on. And it was great to see, you know, how his perspective had changed and how her perspective had changed and how her life had changed after being, you know, an official James Bond author. And of course, we're marching up to the release of the second book in the series. So, well, what are my thoughts about this book and how they changed over the course of the last year? I was really excited when I heard that Kim was going to be writing a new James Bond book, and you know, I did a bunch of research, and she'd written one book before, which is called Testament, which I loved. I bought, had a real bit of trouble actually getting my hands on a copy, which is another traditional publishing thing, but I absolutely adored this book. I thought it was beautifully written, and it really resonated with me on a deep level, because it's the story of two brothers and tragedy and performance and art and history and storytelling and all these wonderful things that made water come out of my eyes. So I was really excited when I read that book, and I saw, oh, even the James Bond references in that were like a little Easter egg treats for me. And then I was lucky enough to have HarperCollins send me an ARC, an advanced reading copy of Double or Nothing, prior to its publication. And I would admit, this book didn't resonate with me to the same degree that Testament did. Testament, that's the beautiful thing about it. I read it and it was like, it was, I know Kim wrote it for her to go through a period of grief, but reading it, it was like she'd written it for me. It was a really incredible experience. And I think because there was a relationship to the two brothers, and my own brother had passed away, and it was a book about grief. So it's like, it was very cathartic to read. And I will admit, when I read this, it didn't grab me in the same way, but that's absolutely fine. I mean, books hit people in different ways, and books can hit people in different ways at different points in their life. Like, you can read Catcher in the Rye as a teenager and really love it, and then you can read it as like a grumpy 40-year-old man and think, oh my god, this Caulfield chap is terrible. So books hit you at different points in your life, and they hit you for different reasons. And the biggest thing that I've come to realize about Double or Nothing over the course of the last 6 months, the last year or so, is that there are people out there in the Bond community who really love this book and love the fact that it's written and it features characters that we normally didn't have an opportunity to see represented in the James Bond universe before. And that was really my favorite thing about being in any way on the periphery, like orbiting the story of this book reaching the broader market. David Lowbridge Ellis from License Square in particular, like when he was talking about Double or Nothing and his face lit up and he was so excited about it, it almost brought a tear to my eye, and I was like, that's great. You know what? This book might not have resonated with me as much as, say, Anthony Horowitz's ones, but that's because it's a book that is not written necessarily for me. It's written for people who don't normally see themselves in the James Bond universe. And it was really exciting to see people latch onto that and really appreciate it, and that resonated with them. It was great. It was like David Zaritsky talks about the Bond movies being like pizza. You know, even the bad pizza is still pretty good pizza. And it's like, with the James Bond books, yeah, maybe there was an audience out there who've been struggling to eat them because they had a gluten intolerance, and then this was the cauliflower crust pizza. And this finally was giving the Bond fans what they actually wanted, rather than the same old stuff baked up again and again. And I think that's a really legitimate point, because I read With a Mind to Kill. I read it in a day, I think, flying to Paris. And I remember afterwards kind of putting the book down. It's like having just had a big steak meal. I'm just like, okay, that was satisfying, but I'm good now. I'm done. And I have to admit that I was kind of like, I was willing to sit back and say, I'm like kind of done with the literary Bond for a bit. Because, Bond is the same character, and especially when you're doing the period pieces, they're kind of, you're treading on territory you've trodden on quite a lot before. And what I thought was genius about the whole concept of Double or Nothing was James Bond is missing, and there are other characters involved in a story in which they're all orbiting him, but the story's about them rather than him. But you're in the James Bond universe, and that was really refreshing as a concept. And I think that was exactly what the James Bond franchise needed. And what I think has made it work so well is, just recently, Ian Fleming Publications announced that Charlie Higson was going to be writing a brand new James Bond book published in May for King Charles III's coronation. And it's kind of like, that kind of, to me, really cemented where and how important this book is and where it fits into the James Bond literary canon. Because, the James Bond books where James Bond is on a mission doing his thing by authors like Charlie Higson or Anthony Horowitz, those are meat and potatoes, roast beef and Yorkshire puddings of meals. And then you've got sushi or cauliflower pizza or whatever else you want to call it, things that other people can sample and enjoy, and it's still on the same menu, and you serve them together. And it means that, people for whom this book didn't resonate with, because there were things in it that they found challenging, can then go and dig into the meat and potatoes of Charlie Higson's new book. And then people who maybe were a bit tired of the meat and potatoes of Charlie Higson's book, or wanted to see themselves perhaps represented in the James Bond universe, could then do so in Kim Sherwood's book. It works beautifully together. And I'm really quite impressed with the thought process that Ian Fleming Publications must have put it, because they must have put some into this, unless they were just completely winging it. It's like, Anthony Horowitz, Meat and Potatoes book, then you got Double or Nothing, real palate cleanser, then you got another Meat and Potatoes book, then Kim's next book is going to come out. It's good. You're creating a menu of different ways to get involved in the James Bond universe, the same way that the Moneypenny Diaries worked so well. Anyway, to me, that's kind of the thing that I've seen that has been really exciting, is to see that this is part of something larger. And the other thing that's been really exciting to me is just to see Kim Sherwood as part of the James Bond community. She's wonderful. Everyone loves her. She's just such a nice person and so passionate. She's such a Bond geek like the rest of us. I don't think there is anybody out there in the Bond community who could out Bond geek her, which is fantastic. She's one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. And it's really exciting to have the opportunity to interact with somebody who has contributed something to this literary universe and this character and this concept and this iconography and this figure that we all love so much. It's really exciting. When I get the opportunity to interact with Kim, I'm like giddy as a schoolboy, because it's like, look, yeah, you understood what all those enthusiastic hand movements meant. So I think it's great. And yeah, 6 months, a year on from a Double or Nothing hitting the market, I'm even more enthused about everything that it brings to what James Bond is, and I'm even more enthused about Kim Sherwood and her important position in the Bond community as someone who is carrying a torch for people who perhaps didn't see themselves in the James Bond universe before. And that's what's so important. I mean, they keep, in that interview she did with David Zaritsky, she was talking about, how people is the next James Bond going to be a woman? Is the next James Bond going to be black? And it's no, James Bond is James Bond. And you don't really want to, you don't want to have the gimmick of James Bond, now he's black. Unless the gimmick's Idris Elba, I'm down for that. You don't want to have a gimmick of being James Bond's now a woman. No, what you do is you have supporting characters surrounding him who are women, who are gay, who are black, who are interesting, diverse. And that's how you bring people in That's where the inclusion is, and the movies have done it really effectively. I think in No Time to Die, you know, the cast of characters there. You've got a really strong Moneypenny. You've got Nomi. You've got Q. You've actually got some of that diversity and inclusion in the movies, and it's things like this book that bring that into the James Bond literary universe as well. So, yeah, good job, Kim. And I'm sorry to all us Americans who had to wait an entire year for this book. That's BS. I will make a video about how frustrating I find that. But focus on the good news about that, which is the fact that Kim's book is now available. And one thing I will be doing is going to my local Barnes & Noble and my other bookstores and seeing if I can spot it in the wild, because that's always exciting. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I'll be back with another video, maybe ranting at traditional publishing in a little while. But until then, ciao. I'm Roland Hume. I've sold 67,000 copies of my books. If you want to find out how I did it, I've got the link right here you can click. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. I've got more videos coming soon. Thank you.